In today's video, my drug-free transformation.
All by myself.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, I'm going to discuss my transformation from about 225 pounds down to about 198 pounds this year using a diet, a training style, a cardio system, and some supplementation that I've never used before. A lot of things changed for me this year, but let me give you a little backstory on who I am. 2007, I first attended my first ever bodybuilding show. I went and saw one in person, and prior to that I had been lifting weights a long time. Now I wasn't super consistent, but I was always in the gym 3, 4, 5 days a week, but never as a bodybuilder. In 2007 that changed, and I decided to do a bodybuilding show 1 year later in 2008. I hired a coach named Lane Norton on bodybuilding.com. I documented it all. You guys can still go on to bodybuilding.com and look in the contest prep section, and there is a thread for all my contest preps from 2008, 2009, and 2012, right? So basically I started that process back then, 2007. And here it is, 2018, and I just did another show. And so the thumbnail picture you see is obviously going to be a very dramatic picture of me looking very good and very amazing. And while I might look very crazy, I can assure you I'm drug-free, and you know, if I'm not going to be able to convince you otherwise, so be it. But it is the fact, my friend. I am a drug-free natural bodybuilder. I compete as a pro-natural bodybuilder. I often do NPC shows as well because, let's be honest, NPC shows are just pretty badass. So yeah, I love the sport. I love bodybuilding. I love competition. And for me, competition is just a means of pushing myself past some kind of probably mental barriers I probably wouldn't go through. I probably wouldn't get as big and strong, and I probably wouldn't get as lean if it weren't for the sport. I've also done powerlifting, so I'm always trying to push myself in the arena. So that's just a backstory of how I got this done. But let's talk about the specifics of this year. So in January of this year, in fact on January 6th, I attended the LA Fit Expo, my first trip this year. And prior to that, I decided I was going to diet down and do a competition. I thought initially I would do a competition in August, okay? I was gonna do a show here in Tampa. I live in Tampa, Florida. There's a show called the Tampa Pro, very good NPC show, and I thought I would do that. Well, I started dieting at around 225 pounds. But dieting at that point looked very different. Now, I did set up some macronutrient goals. Before you look at my macronutrients and compare them to yourself, let's look at the facts. I'm 42 years old. I have been lifting weights for 24 years, 25 years, and for the last 11, very, very consistently. I mean, not missing a day, okay, other than when I'm sick or traveling or something like that. So I would say I'm a very, very advanced strength athlete. I've done 5 powerlifting meets, maybe 4. I've done 8 or 10 bodybuilding shows. I've just been doing this stuff for a long time. So I've put on some lean body mass on my frame. And I really believe that if you're young and you hear 42 and you think, damn, he's old as hell. Well, age, yes, I might be old as hell, but when it comes to muscle, muscle doesn't age. Muscle just gets better with time. And so I look and feel the best I ever have. Other than this dang white beard and I'm losing my hair, you know, because, you know, 42 and dad life. But besides that, I look and feel the best I ever have. And I think a lot of that has to do with just consistency over time, adding muscle over time. So this fat loss transformation was more dramatic than the ones in the past because I had no rush. There was no hurry in the process for me. Losing 25 pounds over 7, 8 months, it's not difficult, okay? What was difficult for me was probably the last 10, okay? I got down to around 210 pounds rather easily using this approach. 250 protein, 300 carb, 70 fat. I cruised on that for a long time. Now, when I say cruised, I mean I still went out to eat. I still had an alcoholic beverage if I was craving it. I still went out to dinner with my family. I traveled to, I can't even list the cities if I could remember them all. Let's say I just started in January going to the LA Fit Expo. I went to the Ohio Arnold. I went to the Australia Arnold. I've been to every NPC national show this year, including Junior Nationals, Universe, USA's, North Americans. Okay, so basically every freaking weekend I'm going somewhere, and I still managed to really hone this down. But what was hard for me was from 210 down to around 200. And that's when I decided to do a show. So let's talk about cardio. What did my cardio look like? I literally started my cardio this year as walking. I would get out of my neighborhood and go for a walk. I started walking for 20 minutes, then 30 minutes, then 40 minutes, then I just kept upping it every so often because I find that I'm very sedentary. This is my office. That is my house. I go from my house to my office and back to my house, and I go to the gym and I come back. I don't walk around a lot. So I found this year something that was very beneficial for me was paying attention to my walking. How much walking was I doing? Sure, I'm probably more ectomorphic than most people by nature. I'm a tall, skinny fellow, but for me, walking was amazing, and it's actually something that I've applied to a lot of my clients. You see, walking, while it requires a lot of time, it actually burns body fat preferentially because it's such low intensity. Body fat is the fuel source that is preferentially used. It's also super easy to recover from. Anybody can go for a walk, come back, and within a few minutes you feel great. Okay, so for me, the idea was, let's make this prep as easy as possible. Let's make this fat loss phase as easy as possible. So I only used steady state cardio. That's right, steady state cardio. I walked either through my neighborhood. Then when I needed my walking to be a little bit more effective, I have a treadmill. I have a gym right here. I'm pointing to it. I know you can't see, but if you could, you'd see me pointing to my gym door. And I go in the gym and there's an incline treadmill. I set it up, I go. Now, what speed, what calories burned? I didn't really focus a lot on that. I would set it at a certain rate and I would go. I like 6 to 10 on the incline, 3 to 3.3 on the miles per hour, and I would judge it by how hard I was working. If I'm huffing and puffing, breaking a little sweat, I'm going good enough. If I'm going so much that my back starts to hurt and my calves start to hurt and I'm burning out, I would lower the speed, lower the intensity. Okay, so I would just kind of push myself as needed on that day. Now, let's talk about the lowest my calories got and the highest my cardio got. The lowest my calories got were 250 protein, 175 carb, and 50 fat. Is that low calories? I don't know. It felt low to me. Is that high calories? It might feel high to you. Again, remember, I'm a 225 pound man losing weight. So, and I'm also 42 years old. I've been training. Everyone is unique. These numbers are not magic. These numbers were basically set up specific for me and my needs, okay? So that was the lowest my calories got. I also would have 2 refeeds per week where I would do around 220 protein, 350 carb, and 60 to 70 fat, okay? I would do those either back to back or I would space them out, just depending on how I felt I needed them. So how much cardio did I do? Well, considering I never did anything more than walking, I got very interested in pushing myself. I got to the point where I was doing 6 days a week, an entire hour, so 60 minutes. So 360 minutes per week, incline walking on the treadmill. And I gotta tell you, I got shredded like that. I felt amazing. It was really hard for me to believe because in all my previous diets where I got stage lean and competed, I used a lot of high intensity interval training cardio. For those that aren't familiar, that's a very short bout of sprinting where you sprint from anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 seconds, then you recover and you sprint again using any number of devices or machines that you feel fit your goal best. I had a prowler that I pushed in my front yard. I had a cycle that I would spin in the gym. I would do whatever. I would even do car pushes, whatever I could do to really go all out. This year I didn't do any of that. And the major difference that I felt this year was my fat loss was much easier in regards to hunger, mood, overall energy. I didn't have these huge energy gaps. I felt like perhaps the HIIT cardio was great because you push yourself so hard, but then the rest of the day you were run down so that your NEAT or your non-exercise activity thermogenesis or your involuntary motion. You see me doing this with my hands? I bet if you go back and watch my videos from 3 or 4 years ago when I competed in 2012, that's how old I am. That's actually 6 years ago now. Yeah, don't do that. No, if you look at my videos, I'm probably just standing like this and talking like this. Your NEAT just lowers when calories get lower. This prep, I didn't have that. I felt like I was able to keep my calories in a good enough place. My energy was in a good enough place. And so what about supplements? I know you guys are gonna go, well, what about supplements, Paul? Well, first of all, you heard me talk about diet, you heard me talk about cardio. Let's talk about training. What is my bodybuilding training style? Well, in March, I was in Australia with Doug Miller. If you're not familiar with Doug Miller, go into the Google machine, type his name in, look him up. Yes, that's right. He is perhaps the world's greatest natural bodybuilder. I trained with him for 10 straight days in Australia. humbling experience to say the least. He's one of the strongest people I've ever been around. But not only that, his capacity for work volume is insane. His muscle bellies are just intense. And so, yeah, being around that, I really got into that style of training. Doug really likes to push every set. He makes sure every rep of every set is super explosive, and he likes to go up in weight and go to failure a lot and do drop sets. He loves these type of intensity techniques. Now, yes, I did get a little bit run down from training like that with Doug because he is so much stronger than me and he is so much better adapted to that style of training. But when I came home, I kept training like that. So I've basically been doing this routine: push, pull, legs, rest. Okay, then I would do push, pull, legs, arms. Okay, and I would cycle that. So 3 days, 1 day off, 4 days, 1 day off. Then if I was traveling, maybe I might train 5 days in a row so I could take a day off, or 2 days in a row off. Whatever my schedule was, I fit it in. I planned ahead and I got it done. I didn't get mad if I had to miss a day because I was traveling for work or a trip or something like that. I just simply made do, okay? Then, when I got really, really lean, I started reverse dieting. Let's talk about what is a reverse diet. Well, when I got under 200 pounds, I said, you know what, I'm feeling a little tired here. Let's start walking the calories up. My carbohydrates were at 175 at that point. I brought them back up to 200, lost a little bit of weight. Brought them up to 250. Weight kept going down. I brought them back up to 300. I found that was the sweet spot for me. So I ended my prep at 250 protein, 300 carb, and 50 fat, and 60 minutes of steady state cardio per day. Now, for the show, I did not do a lot of peaking. I just kind of brought myself in. I stayed tight. I kept the cardio in, and I just walked up my carbs. I think I had 450 grams of carbs the Friday before the show. And there's a video on my channel if you want to watch the show day video or the lead up to it, that stuff. Now, I mentioned supplements, and I'm saving it for the end because everyone thinks supplements have, you know, a bigger role than they probably do. I would say it's that last 2 to 3 to maybe 5% of someone who is super advanced. Not saying I'm the most super advanced, but I do notice a big difference. And I did a video yesterday on the specifics of the 3 top supplements that I felt were the best. And so I'm sponsored by Core Nutritionals. I talk about Core Nutritionals products, but you know, the most important thing is that you're paying attention to things like you're getting your creatine, you're getting some fish oils or essential fatty acids, get your branched chain amino acids, you make sure you're hitting your protein requirements. I don't use whey protein. I have an issue with lactose, so I prefer just to get my food through, my protein through whole food sources. The biggest difference I found this year was the products that really helped with hormone support, like Core Alpha, Core Hard, and I've started using a glucose disposal agent with my higher carbs, and I felt that helped because I was using that. I was adding carbs in, and I just felt the benefit. It was like a synergistic effect. So that's it. That's my drug-free transformation from 225 to 198. And guess what I am today? I'm 200 pounds. I haven't put any body fat back on. In fact, some days I feel leaner. I see more details on my glutes and quads, but the scale is messing with me. But I feel great. I have so much energy, and I've been able to maintain it. Why? Because I took my time. I didn't rush. This was on a 12-week prep. I actually don't even know how many damn weeks it was from the time I started to the time I finished. I just know that it was my life, my lifestyle. It didn't interfere with my coaching. It didn't interfere with my family. Yes, there were some days that I had to make some sacrifices, get in here and get my work done, get in the garage and get it done. But I've set my life up in such a manner that, like I said, I have a gym right there, a treadmill right there, so it did not interfere with my day-to-day life. All right, guys, this video is going on too long. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions about the process, let me know below. I can address them either in the comment section or another video. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
By myself.